Psalm 24 begins with a truth that can completely change the way we face fear, uncertainty, and opposition. The earth belongs to the Lord, and everything in it belongs to Him. Before this psalm speaks about battles, protection, enemies, or victory, it reminds us who is truly in control. The mountains belong to God, the seas belong to God, the nations belong to God, your life belongs to God. Every situation you are facing today is already under His authority. Nothing is outside His reach, and nothing is greater than His power. When you understand that the Lord is the owner and ruler of everything, you no longer have to live as though your circumstances are in control. Fear may tell you that your problems are too big, but Psalm 24 tells you to look higher. Your enemies may appear powerful, but they are still standing beneath the authority of the King of Glory. A difficult season may make you wonder what tomorrow will bring, but God already knows tomorrow. He is not surprised by the battles you are facing. He is not confused by the doors that have closed. He is not overwhelmed by the problems that have overwhelmed you. The God who created everything remains sovereign over everything. There are moments when we become so focused on what is happening around us that we forget who is above us. We look at the size of the problem and forget the greatness of God. We listen to the voices of fear and forget the promises of Scripture. We examine our own weakness and forget the unlimited strength of the Lord. But Psalm 24 calls us to change our perspective. Instead of asking, "How can I overcome this?" begin by asking, "Who is my God?" When you know that the Lord is your defender, your confidence does not have to depend upon your circumstances. Think about the power of the God who established the earth upon the waters. He created what human beings could never create. He brought order out of emptiness, light out of darkness, and life out of nothing. If He can establish the foundations of the earth, He can certainly establish your steps. If He can command the seas, He can calm the storms in your life. If He can sustain creation, He can sustain you through your hardest season. Your situation may be beyond your ability, but it is never beyond God's ability. This truth also teaches us to surrender. Sometimes we become exhausted because we are trying to control everything ourselves. We worry about tomorrow, replay yesterday, and struggle to manage circumstances that were never ours to control. Psalm 24 reminds us that the world belongs to God, and that includes the details of our lives. Surrender does not mean giving up. It means placing your trust in the one who sees what you cannot see. It means saying, "Lord, I do not understand everything, but I know you are faithful. Lead me, protect me, and give me wisdom for the next step." When you belong to God, you can face opposition without allowing fear to define you. This does not mean you will never experience difficulties. It means difficulties do not have the final word. The Lord remains greater than every attack, stronger than every obstacle, and wiser than every human plan. He can protect you in ways you never see. He can redirect you away from dangers you never knew existed. He can provide help through unexpected people and unexpected opportunities. His protection may not always look exactly as you imagined, but His faithfulness remains constant. So today, lift your eyes above your circumstances and remember this foundational truth. The earth belongs to the Lord, and your life is safely within His hands. Do not let fear convince you that the enemy has the final authority. Do not let uncertainty make you forget God's power. The King of Glory is greater than every battle, every obstacle, and every attack. And when you remember who owns the earth and who holds your life, you can begin walking forward with confidence, knowing that the King of glory is with you. Psalm 24 asks a profound question: who may ascend the mountain of the Lord? Who may stand in his holy place? The answer points us toward a life of clean hands and a pure heart. Before we talk about God's protection from every attack, we must understand that walking closely with the King of glory begins with surrender, integrity, and a sincere desire to live according to his ways. God's protection is not an invitation to live carelessly. It is a call to draw near to him with a heart that genuinely seeks his presence. Clean hands speak about the way we live. They represent our actions, our choices, and the things we do when nobody else is watching. God cares about what happens in our private lives just as much as what people see publicly. It is possible to appear strong and religious on the outside while carrying bitterness, dishonesty, pride, or unforgiveness within. But the Lord looks deeper than appearances. He sees the motives behind our actions and knows the condition of our hearts. When we ask him to cleanse our hands, we are asking him to help us live with honesty, righteousness, compassion, and obedience. A pure heart speaks even more deeply about our inner life. Our thoughts, motives, desires, and intentions matter to God. We may be able to hide our thoughts from people, but nothing is hidden from the Lord. That is not meant to frighten us. It is meant to invite us into freedom. We do not have to pretend before God. We can come honestly and say, Lord, search my heart. Show me what needs to change. Remove what does not please you and teach me to desire what is good. When we surrender our hearts to him, he begins a transforming work within us. This does not mean that we must become perfect before approaching God. If perfection were required, none of us could stand before him. The message of Psalm 24 is about sincerity and surrender. God desires a heart that is willing to repent, willing to learn, and willing to follow him. When we fall, we can return to him. When we make mistakes, we can ask for forgiveness. When temptation comes, we can ask for strength. God's grace does not encourage us to remain in sin. His grace gives us the power and courage to turn away from it. Living with clean hands and a pure heart also strengthens us spiritually when opposition comes. When our conscience is clear before God, we do not have to live under the constant weight of guilt and fear. We can pray with confidence, knowing that our relationship with the Lord is being built on truth. This does not mean every difficulty will disappear, but it gives us an inner stability that cannot easily be shaken. When attacks come, we can stand firm because our confidence is not based on our own perfection, but on God's mercy and faithfulness. The world may encourage us to compromise our values in order to gain success, revenge, popularity, or temporary pleasure. Psalm 24 calls us to choose a different path. Choose integrity when dishonesty seems easier. Choose forgiveness when bitterness feels justified. Choose purity when temptation is strong. Choose humility when pride wants control. Choose obedience when compromise appears convenient. Every righteous decision strengthens our relationship with God and prepares our hearts to experience his presence more deeply. And when you sincerely seek the King of glory with clean hands, a pure heart, and a surrendered life, you can stand before him with confidence, knowing that his presence is your greatest source of strength and protection. Psalm 24 gives us a powerful picture of God as our defender, reminding us that we do not have to face every battle in our own strength. The psalm declares that the Lord is the King of glory, strong and mighty, mighty in battle. What an incredible truth to carry into every difficult situation. When opposition rises against you, when people misunderstand you, when circumstances seem to turn against you, or when fear begins to whisper that you are alone, remember that the Lord is greater than anything standing before you. Your strength may be limited, but His strength has no limit. Your understanding may be incomplete, but His wisdom is perfect. Your vision may only see the present battle, but God already sees the entire path. There are times when life feels like a battlefield. You may wake up carrying worries about your family, finances, future, relationships, or responsibilities. Sometimes the battle is visible, while other times it happens quietly inside your heart. Fear, discouragement, anxiety, disappointment, and doubt can become powerful enemies. But Psalm 24 reminds us that the greatest defense is not found in human strength. Our ultimate security comes from the Lord. When you place your confidence in Him, you are acknowledging that the battle does not belong to you alone. God is able to fight for you, guide you, strengthen you, and make a way where you cannot see one. This does not mean that we should become careless or refuse to take wise action. Trusting God means seeking His direction while refusing to allow fear to control our decisions. Pray before you react. Seek God's wisdom before making important choices. Ask Him to reveal what you cannot see and protect you from dangers you may not recognize. Sometimes God's protection comes through a closed door, a delayed opportunity, a warning from someone you trust, or an unexpected change in circumstances. What looks like disappointment today may actually be divine protection from something you never knew was coming. God's protection also does not always mean that every attack disappears immediately. There were moments when David was surrounded by enemies, yet God gave him courage to continue. There were times when God's people walked through the fire, rather than being kept completely away from it. The Lord's presence was their protection in the middle of the trial. This is an important truth for us. We may not always understand why God allows certain battles, but we can trust that He will never abandon us in them. His presence gives us strength to stand when everything around us seems unstable. When you know that God is your defender, you can stop allowing the opinions of others to determine your identity. People may criticize you, reject you, misunderstand your intentions, or speak against you, but their words do not have the final authority over your life. God knows the truth. He sees your heart. He knows your motives and understands every part of your journey. Instead of spending your energy trying to prove yourself to everyone, place your reputation in God's hands. Continue walking in truth. Continue doing what is right, and trust the Lord to defend what needs to be defended. There is also great power in remembering God's faithfulness. When a new battle appears, look back at the battles God has already carried you through. Remember the doors He opened, the dangers He protected you from, the prayers He answered, and the moments when you thought you could not continue but somehow received strength for another day. Those memories become reminders that the Lord has never abandoned you. If He was faithful yesterday, He is still faithful today, and He will remain faithful tomorrow. So when you feel surrounded, do not surrender to fear. Lift your eyes toward the King of Glory. Pray with confidence, walk with wisdom, and trust God's unfailing strength. The battle may be real, but your God is greater. The opposition may be strong, but the Lord is stronger. Your circumstances may change, but His character never will. And when you place your confidence in the Lord, you can face every battle with courage, knowing that the King of Glory is your defender and your ultimate source of victory. Psalm 24 gives us one of the most powerful invitations in Scripture. Lift up your heads, you gates. Be lifted up, you ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. These words are more than a beautiful poetic declaration. They are a call to hope, courage, expectation, and faith. When life has forced you to lower your head because of disappointment, fear, failure, or exhaustion, God calls you to look up again. When circumstances tell you that nothing will change, the King of Glory reminds you that He is still on the throne. When you feel forgotten or defeated, God invites you to lift your eyes and remember who is coming into your situation. There are seasons when life can make you feel as though your head is too heavy to lift. Perhaps you have prayed for something for a long time and have not seen the answer. Maybe you have experienced rejection, disappointment, financial pressure, broken relationships, or a season where everything seems uncertain. In moments like these, discouragement can become so strong that you begin expecting the worst. You stop looking forward with hope because you have been hurt too many times. But Psalm 24 challenges that mindset. It tells you to lift your head because your circumstances are not the highest authority over your future. The King of Glory is greater than what you are facing. Notice that the psalm does not say, "Lift your head because everything is already perfect." It tells us to lift our heads because the King of Glory is coming in. Your confidence is not based on what you can currently see. It is based on who God is. Faith looks beyond the visible and trusts the invisible hand of God. You may not know how the answer will come, but you can trust the one who holds the answer. You may not know when the door will open, but you can trust the one who controls every door. You may not understand why you are walking through a difficult season, but you can trust the one who knows exactly where the journey is leading. The title, King of Glory, reveals something powerful about God's authority. He is not a weak ruler waiting for circumstances to determine his power. He is the glorious King who rules over creation, history, and every situation. Nothing is too difficult for him. No opposition is strong enough to overthrow his purposes. No darkness is powerful enough to overcome his light. When God enters a situation, hope enters with him. When his presence fills your heart, fear does not have to control you anymore. Lifting your head also means refusing to remain trapped in yesterday. Perhaps you have made mistakes that you still regret. Perhaps someone hurt you, and you have allowed that pain to define your identity. Perhaps you have failed in an area where you desperately wanted to succeed. But God is not asking you to live forever beneath the weight of your past. His grace gives you permission to rise again. Your failure is not the final chapter. Your disappointment is not the end of your story. The King of Glory can restore what has been broken and lead you into a new season of purpose. There is also an element of expectation in this command. When you lift your head, you begin looking for what God may do next. Instead of expecting destruction, you begin expecting His guidance. Instead of assuming every door will remain closed, you become willing to see the opportunities He places before you. Instead of allowing fear to make every decision, you allow faith to lead you forward. Expectation does not mean demanding a specific outcome from God. It means believing that He is active, present, and faithful, even when His plan unfolds differently than you imagined. So today, whatever has caused you to lower your head, hear the invitation of Psalm 24. Lift it up. Lift your eyes above the problem. Lift your heart above the disappointment. Lift your faith above the fear. The King of Glory is still reigning, and His presence is greater than every battle you face. And as you lift your head in faith, Remember that the King who is coming is not only glorious. He is strong and mighty, and he is mighty in battle. Psalm 24 declares one of the most powerful truths about God. The Lord is strong and mighty. The Lord is mighty in battle. When you understand who is fighting for you, you can stop allowing fear to control your heart. The battles you face may be difficult, but they are never greater than the God you serve. The King of glory is not weak, uncertain, or limited. He is strong and mighty, and his power reaches far beyond anything we can understand. When opposition rises, your confidence should not come from your own ability, but from knowing that God is greater than every enemy, every obstacle, and every circumstance. There are moments when life feels like a battlefield. You may be facing problems that seem to have no solution, people who oppose you, doors that continue to close, or situations that leave you wondering how you will move forward. Sometimes the battle is not even visible. You may be fighting fear in your mind, discouragement in your heart, or doubt about your future. In those moments, remember that God sees the entire battle. Nothing is hidden from him. He knows what is happening around you, and he knows what is happening within you. His strength is available when your own strength begins to fail. David understood what it meant to face battles that were far greater than human ability. He faced armies, enemies, betrayal, and persecution, yet he repeatedly returned to the same confidence. God was his refuge and his strength. David did not pretend that the battles were easy. He simply refused to believe that the battles were greater than God. That is the kind of faith Psalm 24 invites us to develop. Faith does not deny the existence of trouble. Faith declares that trouble does not have the final authority. When God is mighty in battle, you do not have to fight every battle in anger, fear, or desperation. There are times when the wisest thing you can do is become still before God and allow him to guide you. Not every accusation requires a response. Not every conflict requires retaliation. Not every closed door needs to be forced open. Sometimes God protects you by teaching you when to speak, and when to remain silent, when to move forward, and when to wait. His wisdom is part of his protection. When you trust his leadership, you do not have to react to every attack. The Lord can also fight battles that you cannot fight yourself. There are situations where no amount of arguing, planning, or human effort can change the outcome. In those moments, prayer becomes your weapon and faith becomes your foundation. Bring the situation before God. Tell him your fears. Ask him for wisdom. Ask him to expose what needs to be exposed, protect what needs to be protected, and remove whatever is not part of his purpose for your life. Then trust him enough to leave the outcome in his hands. Being mighty in battle does not mean God will always remove every difficulty instantly. Sometimes he changes the situation, and sometimes he changes you while you walk through it. He may give you endurance instead of immediate escape, courage instead of an instant solution, or peace instead of an explanation. Yet his presence remains a powerful form of victory. When you know God is with you, you can walk through circumstances that once seemed impossible without losing your hope. Remember the victories God has already given you. There were moments when you thought you would not make it, yet you are still here. There were doors that closed that later proved to be protection. There were difficult seasons that strengthened your faith. There were prayers that God answered in ways you never expected. Every testimony is evidence that the Lord has been faithful. When a new battle appears, do not forget the God who carried you through the previous one. So today, do not allow fear to convince you that your battle is too great. Lift your head and remember the King of Glory. He is strong, he is mighty, he is faithful, he is mighty in battle. Place your confidence in him, walk according to his wisdom, and trust his timing even when you cannot see the outcome. And when the King of Glory goes before you, you can face every battle with courage, knowing that his power is greater than anything that stands against you. Psalm 24 ends with one of the most powerful declarations of faith. Who is he, this King of Glory? The Lord Almighty, he is the King of Glory. After reminding us that the earth belongs to God, calling us to live with clean hands and a pure heart, assuring us that the Lord is our defender, and commanding us to lift our heads in hope, Psalm brings everything back to one central truth. The King of Glory must be welcomed into our lives. He is not simply a God we call upon when trouble comes. He is the King who deserves to rule our hearts, guide our decisions, and direct every step of our journey. To welcome the King of Glory means giving God first place. It means allowing him to become more important than our fears, ambitions, relationships, possessions, and personal plans. Many people want God's protection, but do not want his direction. They want his blessings, but resist his correction. They want him to open doors, but do not always want him to decide which doors are best. Psalm 24 invites us into something deeper. It calls us to surrender completely and say, Lord, you are my King. Lead my life according to your wisdom. When God becomes the center of our lives, everything begins to change. Our priorities become clearer. We begin to ask not only, what do I want, but what does God want for me? We become more careful about our choices, our words, our relationships, and the direction of our lives. His word becomes a guide when we are uncertain. Prayer becomes our first response rather than our last option. Worship becomes a daily lifestyle, rather than something we do only when circumstances are favorable. Slowly, our hearts become more sensitive to his presence and his leading. Welcoming God does not mean that every problem will immediately disappear. In fact, the Bible never promises a life without difficulty. What it promises is something greater, God's presence in the middle of difficulty. When the King of Glory rules in your heart, you can walk through storms without losing your peace. You can face opposition without surrendering your faith. You can experience uncertainty without allowing fear to control you. The circumstances may still be challenging, but you are no longer facing them alone. The Lord himself is with you. There is also protection in living close to God because his presence gives us wisdom and discernment. Sometimes the greatest danger is not the obvious attack, but the wrong decision we are about to make. God can warn us, redirect us, and give us wisdom before we walk into situations that could cause unnecessary pain. When we stay close to him through prayer and his word, we become more aware of the difference between what appears good and what is truly good. His guidance becomes a shield around our lives. The King of Glory also brings freedom from fear. If God is truly king, then no enemy can become king over your emotions. No accusation can determine your identity. No difficult season can decide your future. No human being can take God's purpose away from you. People may oppose you. Circumstances may challenge you. And plans may change. But the Lord remains seated upon his throne. His authority is greater than every earthly power. His presence is stronger than every attack. Perhaps today you have been trying to carry everything by yourself. Psalm 24 invites you to open the doors of your heart and allow the King of Glory to enter. Give him your fears. Give him your unanswered questions. Give him your plans. Give him your family, your future, your dreams, and your struggles. You do not have to understand everything before you trust him. You only need to know that he is faithful. The King of Glory is strong, he is mighty, he is holy, he is faithful, he is worthy of your trust and your worship. When you make him the center of your life, you can face tomorrow with confidence because your life is held by the one who created the heavens and the earth. So open the doors of your heart, welcome the King of Glory, and let his presence lead you through every battle, every blessing, and every season of your life. The King of Glory is with you, and his presence is greater than every attack you will ever face.